everybody, I'm Stippling, and we're here in the Mocitorium, the best place for tips, tricks, and modifications to your official and custom CCBS creations. We will be continuing our theme of modifying the summer 2016 sets. This time we'll be looking at Quake Beast. Wait, Quake Beasts? Actually, we're not seeing double. Instead, these are two completely different versions of the same fundamental set. On the left is the official LEGO Quake Beast, while on the right we have my completely custom Quake Beast. For the official Quake Beast, I enjoyed and appreciated the designer's stylistic choices. He was a cool figure and looked great on the box. However, I felt the overall implementation of the design left it appearing clunky and gappy, so I sought to fix him while preserving what made him unique. So what's so custom about this version? Well, a couple things. First, no longer are we graced with the obtrusive presence of a sideways 2015 gearbox. That was the first thing that had to go. Instead, I've replaced it with a custom gearing system that employs a similar function to Akir's wing flapping mechanism, adapted to work on one arm. This change required a reworking of most of the set, including the connection points, the blade plumage, and the crystal pauldron, the latter of which has been moved off of the gearing system to stop the clumsy Quake Beast from hitting himself in the face. Next, the arm itself was shortened, and I incorporated purple bone pieces to mask the gaps that the new crystal armor creates. On the other arm, I've raised the connection point of the shoulder to match his right arm. When his arms are positioned straight perpendicular to his body, the ball joints of the shoulders are in the exact same place. Lastly, I've eliminated the custom lower leg builds in order to compensate for the extra parts usage on the gear function, and because I did not have the right parts to replicate those legs again. Sometimes creativity must yield to reality. After that lengthy explanation, you may be wondering,
so what? You made a custom Quake Beast. How does that help me make mine look like that?
Well, eager viewer, I was just getting to that, and stop interrupting me. To make this video at an appropriate length, we'll start by removing design elements that are either the same or simple enough to discern without explanation. This chest armor is exactly the same, and is the first thing to go. The neck and the head are built exactly the same. Those can also go. Other than the optional addition of this purple upper limb piece, the construction of the left arm is exactly the same, so that also can go. Similarly, the legs are more or less the same, other than those lower leg pieces, which are simple bones rather than custom creations. Those we also can get rid of. With all of that removed, we can better look at what remains. This is not that impressive. So let's start with the basics. By removing the gearbox from his back, I was allowed the opportunity to add an additional black armor piece to the back. That added some additional coverage that I liked. In order to equalize the height of the left shoulder, I had to raise it by one pinhole. This was accomplished by using a pair of these Technic elements with two 3-long axles. This construction goes right into that axle hole. We'll take it apart so you can see more angles of it. This claw piece is built exactly the same, and I used one slightly longer Technic piece to mount the shoulder piece. Moving on to the right arm, I'm going to detach that so you can look at that in isolation. The right arm is composed of two of the new crystalline armor pieces, just like the old version, but instead of black and gray bone pieces, we have purple bone pieces. The top one is a upper limb piece, normal length, and the lower one is a lower limb piece with that one extra pinhole. You can get this from Onua's set. Because I opted to use two bone pieces as opposed to the female-to-female connecting bone piece, the hand itself had to be a socket rather than a ball. This was accomplished more or less the same, with a 3-long axle connecting this crystal piece to this build, which is the same. But instead of a ball joint at the end, we have a socket piece. The right arm is where things get a little complicated. It's all, again, connected by a 3-long axle that goes through the axle hole on the inner skeleton. The three things that are connected to this axle are the torso itself, the arm construction, and this shoulder mount, which houses the pauldron for him. In addition, there's a pin with a standard length Technic element on there, and what that does is it holds everything together and doesn't allow it to slide out of place. You'll have to take my word for it that you'll need that. Destructing this further, the two blades are attached somewhat differently. They're still attached via this triangular Technic piece, but instead of gluing on the shoulder mount to it, we've separated those entirely, and this is all that's left. This connects to an attachment on the arm that is about 2 pinholes behind the arm itself and just crosses over that way. I initially tried having it here, but it didn't look as good and didn't look like the official set, so I moved it one over. We're running out of things to talk about, but this is what remains, the actual gearing mechanism. This attaches twice, once through an axle, that 3-long axle on his shoulder, and then a pin right next to it. It goes in just like so. You know what the heck, let's destruct it a little more. That should all be pretty clear what that is. This is all basically the framework of his arm. This entire crank is attached via a 4-long axle, which goes apart basically like so. Lastly, we have this kind of abnormal construction that may have been hard to understand, so we'll break that apart too. Got one of these pieces, 1/2 as long, another number 1 Technic element with an axle pin inside. And that's the entire set deconstructed. Man, taking it apart's a lot easier than building it. Unfortunately, I was not able to correct the lack of friction in this iteration of the build on the arm. Gravity still hates him. However, I have accidentally created a fix for that as well. By positioning the shoulder armor just right, it can double as a locking mechanism for posing the arm. So that's all I've got for this video. If you liked it, please feel free to show your support in the comments section, which can and should include suggestions for future Mocitorium videos. I appreciate all your feedback and support, and as always, thanks for watching.